Okay, so the first part then, you should have the base that's fitted up. We've then inserted and locked in onto these parts, the corner. So you've got the two small bits onto the side and the two large bits at the back. And then the next stage is to do the roof bit. Go. Right, so the next stage is you need to put the roof together, and it's very similar to how you've already done the first part of the floor. So we've got the cross members, and you'll only have 4 of these, but because we're making a model that's going to be passed around the last a few years, as we're actually going to have a few more on, so as it's going to have 7, but the principle's exactly the same. And then you've also got the uprights, which actually will go across these members, and that's how we're going to start doing it first of all. Easy way for you to check if you've got the S shape on each one, so that all the angles go in the same way. This should be fairly easy, but then the slots, the main slots, need to be facing up. So at this point, I'm just going to turn all these so they're facing upwards towards us. And then the next part is to actually slot these bits over to the edge. So if we just literally slot those in. And then you repeat the process pretty much like we did with the floor. So there we go. Now once I've done this way, it's easier for me to literally just get the spaces right, and neither should fall in. So there we go, that's the edge. Quite tricky, let's get the other pieces through as well. So I can start on the second one when we're sort of ready to start getting these pieces together. And then hopefully, as you're moving them through, they should all start to drop into place. Yeah, and they should be fairly tight. And then these other bits then, once you've got the first 2 in, because they're already aligned, shouldn't take too long at all. Now that bit is pretty straightforward. Once we've done that bit, it shouldn't need any glue or anything from there. But then what you will need to do is to flip it over onto the other side where these other pieces are facing upright onto these parts, and that's where the next level goes through. So these will go the opposite. Now the reason being is these bits have to connect to the roof parts onto there. So we'll just connect that in and place that one onto there, and then we're ready to assemble it onto the house structure. So these need to be flipped over from there, and all we need to do, because it's quite simple, is just lift this up over to the top, align these with where we're actually dropping these parts in, so it must be that way actually, onto mine, and they should just drop and connect into place. And that then gives you the structure of your building. Ready to go, and your next stage is then to put the floor in, the roof, and to actually hold all this together. Right, so in this video we can see how we've nested them. So when we nest them, it means we try to put them in the best space possible to reduce the amount of wastage that we get when we cut these out. Now we've managed to get 46 of the long uprights and 36 of the short uprights laid out on here. And there's also another advantage that once we've got that many on there, we can leave it to run, and then we haven't got to keep replacing the material from there. So we've changed the size to 600 by 600, which is what the dimensions are, and that's just about to be started to be cut out into the other machine. So this one's Vic. We've got the board in place, the origin is set up. Do we need to move that origin across there a bit, sir?
Yeah, I'll do it.
I'll just slide the board across. So what we do is we'll just slide the board across rather than set the origin, although we could do. The dot there isn't actually where the laser is, that's just showing us where it is, so that's just an LED. The laser is actually, you can't see it really, but it's like a white light when you see it cut. So we're just using the software now to upload onto Vic, give Bob a bit of a rest. So it says just uploaded onto the machine now, onto our software, which is Destiny Needs, and that was downloaded, and it then comes onto the file next to the machine. So that's just showing where it is, and this can, we can track how far it is through the cut with this as well. So the next thing we'll do is do a frame to make sure it fits on. So before we cut it, just make sure we've got the right amount of material. Just put this to that bit. And that's it, so I think we're ready to start cutting.
Extractions on.
Extractions on. And there we go, so his son's cut these out. So when we cut the original ones out, we knew that at the time, you can see how it's starting to cut now, maybe on, you see where the red line is. Each one to cut out for a set of 4 was 3 minutes. And so that means within half an hour, obviously we can do 10. Within an hour we can do 20. And we just work up from that way. And we've got to cut 50 of these out per set. So this cut alone is probably going to take about 3 hours.
So yeah.
That's that part as well. Which means we've got to then set up ready on Bob over here. And Bob's going to be cutting out the top pieces as well.